Hello and welcome to another podcast in the podcast series of B-PHOT. I'm Orash here today with Dr. Qing Liu. He just graduated from a PhD at B-PHOT and now he's doing a postdoc with B-PHOT. He's in the biophotonics group of this team and he started his PhD in 2015 and he has started his postdoc in 2020. Qing, would you please give us a bit of background information into your educational life before doing the postdoc?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the invitation. It's my pleasure to give my experience to the students who are interested in B-PHOT and also want to do something more at B-PHOT. My name is Qing and actually I'm from China. When I was in my bachelor's, my major is actually it's remote sensing. So it's like using the satellite to observe the Earth, and that is basically what you are using now in Google Map. Then I did my bachelor's in Beihang University in Beijing, and then after my bachelor I went to my master in University of Chinese Academy of Science, which is a very huge university in China, based on also based on Beijing. So when I doing my master, my major is like design of spectrometers, and that moment is more focused on the hardware, but for my bachelor it's software like a like image processing and some algorithm to distinguish the roads, the autos and other buildings and land, like farms and etc. And then it's a different topic, but they are country related. So that is my background before I had my PhD.
Amazing journey. So you worked in different areas and then decided to do something in biophotonics.
Yes, indeed. So from the bachelor to master's, from remote sensing to design optical device design. It's more from the software to hardware, but at that moment I was thinking, okay, optic design. I am more interested in the software, not the hardware part, because I want to know more about like the phenomenon or the thing behind this app or this application. So I choose to continue my research in optical system design, and then happily I got a chance to meet with Professor Mehdi, because in 2014 Mehdi went to China for a conference, and also she had a visit in Beihang University, which is my bachelor's university. Then we had a conversation. And also she said, okay, I'm also doing some, I have a lot of students, and one of the students doing research on the spatial spectrometer. It's Raman spectrometer, and also Raman spectroscopy. Are you interested? Yes, I said, yeah, sure, because that is exactly what I'm interested, and also quite similar to what I'm doing. And then what I was doing at that moment. So we had a very pleasure conversation, and then I decided to go to B-PHOT.
That's very good for us as well. So at that moment you were finishing your master's, or I think you were already done with your master's at Belgium University, and then why did you choose to do a PhD? So a lot of people after masters go to industry, and China is a big player in industry. So what made you make this decision to go for a PhD at B-PHOT?
I would say there's a saying in China, it's like 世界这么大，我想去看看. It means in English it is a big word, go run it. So also for the journey to take a PhD position, I would like to refer to some images, a video. It's like you can imagine that a circle that contains all the human technologies, science technologies, and when you are doing your primary school, you just know a single point, and when you are doing your high school study, you just expand your knowledge a little bit. But when you go to college, when you are doing your bachelor's, you begin to gain specialties. So there's a point on top of this small circle around yourself, and when you are doing your master, you just deepen this how to say the tip, so you gain more specialty. And at certain moment, you can discover, or I discovered that okay, the world is so big, and why not go for it? Because when the more you read, like the literature, the more you read, and the more knowledge you gain, you find like the world is becoming bigger and bigger. So it is. I would say to do a PhD is, at the beginning it's for fun. And then I just take my PhD, and actually a PhD is like you almost close to the edge of the circle, and after sometimes 4 or 5, even can be 6 years, you push the boundary a little bit, and finally there's like a breakthrough a little bit, and then you find the big world it become different because of your PhD. That is the entire journey of a PhD. But then we should come back to the real world, that the world is still a big circle, and you are just at the boundary, and that is where you are.
So the next question is a bit contradictory to what you just said. Like you said, PhD is fun. PhD is something that you do to somehow expand what you know, and you're really enthusiastic about it. But then the question is mental health versus a PhD. So a lot of people actually believe that a PhD can take a toll on you. So there are moments that you're gonna just go crazy. And what do you have to say about that, mental health versus a PhD?
It's always not that easy to finalize a PhD, and until now I would not say that I have finalized my PhD, because what I'm doing now is still related to my work, and before I finished, there are really a lot of troubles, challenges I have faced. And at certain moments it's really hard, and I want to why I choose this road. It's so hard. What if I do that, just go to work, go to the industry, not continue academic life? But I always liked one of the words our promoter and the head of B-PHOT, Professor Hugo Timpot, says. It's like boldly go where none has gone before, face and conquer the challenges. He said these words and first moment when I came to B-PHOT, and also he present these words at the end of my PhD. So it's like mental of my PhD. I like it because choose the road to do a PhD is really challenging, and sometimes you are doing experiments, and for a lot of time it's not like few days, maybe a few months you didn't get very nice results, and maybe you think okay, that will not work, you just want to give up, but if you just continue a little bit, you find the world has been different. Your life is totally different because every time you are trying different things. When you are failing, we failed and try. You are gathering experience. You are like pushing forward, and you are also like finding the right way to your you're just finding the right ways. And a certain moment after the accumulation of this experience, then there's suddenly a breakthrough. You find the right way. So my suggestion to those who are now facing problems and challenges is just continue what you are doing now, and don't give up. Just boldly go where no one has gone before. And also sometimes another suggestion would be in a lot of time you are doing it by yourself, but sometimes in a lot of time a PhD is a multidisciplinary thing, and maybe your background is very limited on one of the specialty, but people who has different technology in related field can give a lot of help to you. So for instance, you are good at hardware design or simulations of the photonic system design, but you are not good at computer science, because part of your work might depend on the software things. So if you can get some advice from your friends, colleagues, or even your supervisors who has more knowledge on that background, like your procedure can be accelerated enormously. So don't hesitate to ask questions if you think you are really suffering.
Yeah, very good advice. So you talked about supervisors, advisors, friends. These are things that we're gonna get into. But the first thing is that, well, you were doing a master's, or you finished your master's, then you wanted to do a PhD, and you say that Heidi approached you with some ideas that she had for a PhD, and maybe you wanted it. So you met your promoter there. So a lot of people can't do that. They don't know the promoter very well, and they just see the topics, or they know the promoter from their studies, and they don't know the PhD topic very well. So if I put the question like this, so what is more important, the promoter or the PhD topic? What would you say about that?
It's always like, I don't think you can say which one is more important or which is less. Actually, they're equally important, the topic and also the promoter. I would say the topic of a PhD is like inner power or inner drive of your PhD, and your promoter is external drive of your PhD. So why do I mean that? So for your PhD topic, you should be interested in it. You should find fun with it. So like we always say, interesting is the best teacher. If you are interested, you can promote yourself to do a lot of things based on it, and you want to go deep inside it. That is inner promotion of inner promotion. But like sometimes if you have some difficulties, and then your promoter or some other person can really give you another say motion to accelerate or to lead you to the right way to your PhD. So they are equal important, but also I like the word Professor Hugo said, it's like listen carefully to your visionary mentors. because they really have a lot of experience. Maybe they are much older than you, or maybe they are not that much older, but normally basically they do have more experience, especially in the research career. So if you really want to be to make your PhD smooth, then you should really have a very good communication with your mentors, your supervisors, and even your colleagues. Your fellow PhD students as well.
Now, let's get more personal. What was your PhD about?
My PhD, the title of my PhD is Freeform Based Optofluidic Devices Towards Surface Enhanced Raman Spectroscopy. So it's like a three-part, I would say. The first is freeform optics, and the second part is optofluidics or microfluidics, and third one is surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy. It's a special type of Raman spectroscopy. So my PhD is combine these three into one and make it work for the application domains detection of mycotoxins and also some bio applications, for instance, to detect the cells, the contents in the cells, or the metabolites. Yeah, that's what it's about. And as I said before, my bachelor and master is doing research on macro things. It's in large scale. And especially when you think about the remote sensing, it's like just launch the satellite and then observe Earth. It's really in a very huge scale. But what I'm doing now is just zoom in and see the micro and the nano worlds, and it's really interesting because in the macro world is for us it's really easy to understand because we are living in a big world and everything is big, and then we have the huge buildings, skyscrapers, and like huge rockets, etc. But from our human eyes, we can really not see the very small things. We can only depend on the equipments, instruments like microscope, atomic force microscope, or scan electron microscope, these kind of things to zoom inside. So that is a word most of people don't know, or they just they have heard about it, but they don't know what exactly it is. But when I was doing my PhD, especially for the surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy, it's a technique that based on the nanotextured structures, nanotextured surfaces, and with special patterns. For instance, the pyramid structures in nanoscales, it can be less than 100 nanometers. But this it's an entirely different world, which is very it's a mystery world, and these nanostructures can give some functionalities that macro materials cannot achieve. So I'm really interested in this kind of research, and also then I did a lot of work in the simulation with these nanostructures. What they will behave when they interact with optics.
At the moment, like when you wanted to choose the PhD, I'm sure that you had a lot of different opportunities, like staying in China, going to the US, Australia, Japan, a lot of different places that you could actually go. But why did you choose to do your PhD at B-PHOT?
The first thing is I really appreciate the help of my supervisors and also my colleagues of their help and during my PhD, and the research instrument here. Actually, during my PhD, I've seen the expansion of B-PHOT teams. So in 2015, when I first come to B-PHOT, our Photonic Innovation Center is just built in a few years, and there are just a few instruments there. We have the diamond tooling machine, and we have the hot embossing machine, and a clean room with some equipment. But after like five and now 6 years, I really see that like the campus in Huyuk, where our Photonic Innovation Center located, has been expanded a lot, and a lot of more instrument has been installed, and I see a lot of possibilities of B-PHOT, and also a possibility that I can do at B-PHOT. I give you an example. I say when I doing my PhD, I'm just working on the surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy or nanostructures. At that moment, and beginning, I can just like imagine that okay, I can just do simulations based on these structures, and then we have to find like outsource to fabricate those nanostructures, and it takes a lot of time and then also money. But now with more instrument has been installed in an innovation center, and I can in the future I can really imagine that the nanostructures, the photonics circuits, or a lot of things I have been designed can be fabricated, and I want to see this final result.
Did you actually know these before doing the PhD? Like, did you do some research on what B-PHOT is, and you gained some experience, and then you made the decision? Or I don't know, maybe you asked Heidi when she was at the conference, and then Behong. Did it happen beforehand as well?
Yeah, to be honest, I really don't know that. And in 2015, 2014, that's that now the world is really changing super fast, and each year or each day is different. At that moment, I don't have a lot of knowledge in my research domain, and I only can do some research online, finding where the B-PHOT is. Of course, it's in Brussels, the center of European, and they have some instruments, and I'm interested in the domains, and also I have seen a lot of publications of Heidi. And also I get the news from my supervisors in my bachelor's that we'll be it's going to have a collaboration with Beihang University, and then they have a chance to meet together, and also I get this chance to meet Professor Heidi. So I would say at that moment I didn't know that B-PHOT can be changed, like in the future it can be expanded so fast, and with more people, more researchers, more instrumentations, and more fundings, more research projects, and it's really growing fast. And then also I think it's because of the photonics industry, and and I think you know that photonics is one of the main industry in the market in the future, and a lot of things in our daily life related to photonics. The cell phone we are using, for instance, we have the camera, it's optic based, and the screen is optic based, and also a lot of sensors. For instance, in some of the cell phone, they have the LiDAR things integrated, and the facial recognition, and you cannot live without photonic devices. And that is why I see if you choose photonics as your research career, your academic career or industry career, then you see it's really a bright future waiting for you there. So don't be hesitate to have like your life in the domain of.
Yeah, to all of you out there, do photonics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know if you knew it before doing the PhD, but now you know it for sure that B-PHOT is a mixture of different nationalities. Numerous nationalities coming together as the research team at B-PHOT. And well, I want to ask, how was your integration to your team? So you had a group of biophotonics people, and then you had a bigger team of B-PHOT. How was your integration to the team?
Yeah, before I come to B-PHOT, as you said, I don't have a lot of like knowledge about like if it is international, etc. Although I can see some of the information, and I just thought, okay, it's in Brussels, and I checked online. Okay, most of the people in Brussels they speak French. So before I came to Brussels, I take some French course. But when I come to B-PHOT and at VUB, then a lot of people they really speak very nice English. It's really international, and also it's like Vrije University in Brussels. It's the official languages could be Dutch, so I really have no chance to use the French languages, the basic French I learned before I came to B-PHOT. But it's B-PHOT is really international, and then it's very. I would say a lot of people come from different countries. You can find people from all over the world in different continents, in Asian, in Americans, and also in like Europe. A lot of European staffs. So it's international, and people all speaking very nice English. And also I would say, to be honest, my English is not that good. But after I came to B-PHOT, I improved a lot. And the most important thing is we have a lot of events to promote this in social or cultural integration. We have a PISA seminar. It's not only it's like at a certain moment, like each semester, we have at least 1 or 2 PISA seminars. People sit together, and some of our colleagues give a speech that introduce their research, and also they can also introduce their daily lives. And we have the student chapter of SPE at that moment, and it's really a student-based organization, and I would say it's really good organization. And also it's my pleasure that I have been to be the president of this organization several years ago, and I have organized a lot of events, and then after these events, people can really get like insight of what other people are doing, what they are interested, and you can know different cultures and different knowledges, and that can help a lot with the integration into the team.
It's a very good inside view. But were there any moments for you when you thought, oh God, there is a cultural barrier here, there is a language barrier here, what I'm trying to get to the other people, convey to the other people is not just getting to them, or oh God, I did something that was inappropriate in Europe, but it's okay in China. So were there any moments like this?
For me, I'm not a person that always find the conflicts. What I find is the interesting behind. So even there's a kind of conflict of the culture, I would say, yeah, I'm very interested to learn more things about it. For instance, And when I found that the different thing between China and in European countries, especially for the PhD research, is like in China it's we emphasize more on teamwork, but in European or in Western world it's more individual. It's not like just focus on one part, but ignore one. But they have more weight on the individual in European than in China. Why do I say that? Because I still have a lot of friends who had their PhD in China. Yeah, because I came from that place. And I heard from their experience is that, for instance, their topic is about photonics. Okay, so if they want to design something, design some mechanical structures, they don't have to do it by themselves. They just ask one guy who is whose specialty is on mechanics, and this person can help this guy to design this kind of structures. So in China, a project is like normally they have a huge project, and in different domains, also multidisciplinary research domains. And it can be a combination of photonics, electronics, chemicals, and a lot of things. If you are specialist in photonics, you don't have to think about other things. You just focus on the domain, just push forward on that. If you have difficulties in other things, you ask the specialist in another domain. But here in Europe, it's normally I would say the project it's not that huge compared to the project in China, because it's a national level, and it's a bit smaller. So a PhD or a research get his project, he has to. You might have difficulties in maybe it's photonics. The main thing is about photonics, but you have to solve problems related to like computer science, electronics, chemistry, biology as well. I think you are also having these kind of feelings because you're thinking my background is just photonics, but I have to do a lot of things in biology. So you have to understand that, or sometimes not only understand that, you really should be a specialist in a certain domain. That is what I have learned. It's quite different, so the result is also different. And if you more if the project is emphasis on the teamwork, then the person who is on a special domain can really go very deep in that domain. But because we have our time is limited and our energy is limited, you cannot be a specialist for all things. So that is the very different things I have found in between China and and my PhD here. But it's also good because it can really expand your possibilities, and also it's very funny to learn a lot of new things, right?
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah.
And that was a very good point, because when people say like culture shock or anything related to that, they usually don't mean like academic cultural shock, and I didn't know even that existed. But that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing. But you talked a bit about in China you work in a large team, a lot of people collaborating to make something happen. Was your project here in Belgium also a part of a consortium? Like a while back with the B-PHOT chapter, we had this event Montplace where many universities were collaborating to fight against microplastics. So was your PhD project also a part of a bigger project like Montplace, for instance?
My PhD, it's really not very collaborative. Most of the things I have been done is at B-PHOT, and also I did some experiments in Ghent Universities. It's a project that as I said, I have to do a lot of things by myself. But I know a lot of other projects at B-PHOT. They have very tight collaboration with different institutions, different universities. But for me, it's more like a domestic project. But the project I'm doing now for my postdoc, it is very a project that need a lot of collaboration. We have 3 research groups at VUB, and also 2 from KU Leuven. So it's another story now. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just went from let's say a standalone PhD to a collaborative PhD also for you.
Yeah.
But like in PhD projects, it's common that, as you said, for instance, sometimes you need to try something out. You need some specific expertise from another field.
Mm-hmm.
So was there any moment at your PhD where you had to do anything with industry or other universities in Belgium or, I don't know, in Europe, in the world?
Yes. So this is hard to answer because my project is really, as I said before, it's really a domestic one, and my experience is in different another universities. I have attended 2 summer schools. One is at DTU, Denmark Technology University, and another is in St. Petersburg. And then one is, so it's really like these 2 summer schools give me a lot of knowledge, because my PhD is about freeform-based optofluidic devices towards surface-enhanced Raman spectroscopy. So when I was in Denmark, then this summer school has a lot of things to do with the microfluidics, nanostructures. So it's like half of my PhD related. And then when I was in St. Petersburg, then this summer school taught me how to use special softwares to simulate optic systems. It is more for the first part of my PhD, the freeform optics and also general optics. And after these 2 PhD, when I combine the knowledge I gathered from them together, I really it really gives me a lot of insight to my PhD, and I know how to do my PhD better. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So if you have a chance to have this collaboration conferences, summer schools, exchanges, just go for it. You will really get a lot of things. You will never be regret to attend such event.
And it's very nice to know that although your PhD, as you say, was domestic and local, but again, you went abroad, you went to Denmark, you went to Russia to gain experience in your field. So international experience is a part of your PhD at B-PHOT. It's very nice to know. But let's get to the unavoidable topic of the pandemic. So in 2020, when you wanted to do the last year of your PhD and you wanted to graduate and finalize everything, the pandemic started and it slowed down everything and stopped a lot of the parts in industry and academia. So how was your experience? What did it do to your PhD project?
That's really a good question. We know that the COVID pandemic has changed the entire world and changed everyone's life. For me, I would say the effect is more positive. You can always find the the positive things from the negative in things, because when the pandemic came to the world, then actually it's the end phase of my PhD. So I have already gathered a lot of experiment data, and I was already writing my thesis. So because of lockdown, actually I can really focus on the writings. I can focus on the processing of my data, and 3 of my papers has been published during the pandemic, because I really have like a lot of time to just stay at home without bothering of other things, writing, and it's very special moment. I would not say I appreciate this because it's strange, but if I would say, if you want to, at certain moments of your PhD or even your academic life, you really need to isolate yourself in an environment, and then focus on something. Yeah, so it should be in the end of your PhD. Yeah. So, but I know that some of my colleagues, they really suffered a lot of delays of their PhD because the lab has been closed, and also some of the fabrication has been delayed because of the pandemic, a lot of things. But meanwhile, we can do other things to compensate what we lose. Yeah, that's my experience.
That's a very good point of view. But you're talking about these hindrances in the work of your colleagues, and maybe your papers were delayed a bit because everything was slowed down. So did B-PHOT do anything to ameliorate the situation for your colleagues and yourself?
B-PHOT has did a lot of measures to reduce the impact of this pandemic. So to prevent the infection of COVID, the spread of COVID, we have the measures to limit the number of people who has access to the lab, and we have a registration system that can track the people who has worked at B-PHOT in the lab, in the clean rooms, and also to make sure that everyone has access to the lab to do the experiment. But the things a lot of things, some of the things we can do at home. So it's really recommended to have most of the work at home, and unless you need to do experiment, you are allowed to go to the lab, but you have to register in advance. And a lot of measures, for example, disinfections, and also wearing mask, of course. I would say this really makes sense, and that's a good thing.
Well, I would appreciate the alacrity in these kind of situations, and I think B-PHOT did a very good job in finding procedures to disinfect the stuff, like how to go inside the labs, how to come out of them, and they tried their best to open the labs as much as possible, having an eye on the regulations, which is really appreciated by a lot of our colleagues. But the next question is, what was your biggest personal challenge when doing the PhD here at B-PHOT?
I think everything is possible. I would not say that the difficulties I have faced can be a challenge, because it can be tackled. You can always find solutions if you want. So you should just boldly go where no one has gone before and face and tackle the difficulties.
Personal, as in like at the moment you felt like oh, this is not working, like I feel a lot of pressure, I don't know, I think you were married along the PhD, so like, oh, having a married life and the PhD was difficult, like these kind of stuff, these kind of personal experiences is what I mean.
Part of my PhD is design and fabrication, tests, and then real applications. So I spend a lot of time on the waiting of the fabrication procedure, because the fabrication really takes a lot of time. Once I finish my design, I submit the final documents to the technician or to the outsource, the company, ask for the fabrication. But normally you really have to wait a lot of time until they get replied, and the fabrication, they need to prepare the material, they have to align the instrument for the fabrication, and they should try a lot of things before the fabrication, some tries to see if different parameters works. And this, it's really it's not challenge, it's a difficulty time. When I was waiting for the components I was looking for, it takes, for instance, one of my components is freeform based reflector, and after I submit my final design for 6 months, almost half a year, I got the final components fabricated. So it's really like, what can I do in between? I cannot just wait until they get results. So what I can do is just optimize my design. And beginning of my simulations is like, I have only one these small components in my simulations to investigate the behavior of these components with interact with light. But then after during this waiting time, I just like add different components. Then I implement the whole system in the simulation software, in Zemax. So it's not just a simple components, but also the external components like the light source, the filters, the lenses, even the chemicals analyzed under test can be integrated into this simulation like model. And by doing this, I can really like this by doing this model, optimize this model. It really accelerated my final the following procedure, because I know how to align this system with different components and how to make experiment efficiently. So cannot always when you are waiting something or you have some difficulties in something, then maybe option is just left it behind, just put it by your side and then do something else. And at a certain moment you start again, you find, okay, maybe it can be done in a different ways or a more efficient way.
It's like everything is a blessing in disguise, depending on how you think about it. But after asking about the personal challenges in a PhD, did you have any technical challenges, something that you struggled a lot with and were fed up with?
It's still at the end of my PhD. As I said, I have designed a lot of nanostructures and optimized these structures for spatial application, namely surface enhanced Raman spectroscopy. And ideally it can give a very high enhancement factor to be able to detect very low concentration of toxins or different or other analytes or in the contents in the bio cells. But the thing is, these tiny things cannot be fabricated at B-PHOT because the scale is really too tiny. It's less than 100 nanometers. But in B-PHOT, the instrument we can fabricate these tiny structures is to photon polymerization. it is a technique that can fabricate nanostructures down to 100 nanometers. So if it is below 100 nanometers, it cannot fabricate or with very low quality. So I have tried to fabricate these things with this technology, but the result is not that good because we are reaching the limitation of this machine or this technique. So what can we do? Or we can develop some instrument or some methods because in chemical ways, or we have to ask help from other companies or other universities. So maybe then come back to the previous question, the collaboration it's very important maybe to tackle some of the technical or scientific challenges.
Very good answer. So after your PhD was done, I think in 2020, then you went for a postdoc. But then again, the dilemma comes into play for people who graduate from a PhD. Do I go to industry? Do I continue in academia? So why did you choose to do a postdoc and continue with B-PHOT?
I have seen that B-PHOT expanding and more things I can do at B-PHOT. That is one thing. So normally I don't see what this place have currently. I'm more interested in the future that in a place I can do. So that is why I choose to stay at B-PHOT, because I see a lot of new instrument is installed, and based on these instrumentations and facilities, I can really realize something I have dreamed before. For instance, normally now the optic devices it's very expensive, so we are seeking for a mass fabrication ways to reduce the cost of the components or the measurements. And recently before we have the hot embossing machine, but it's still not a mass fabrication method. But now we have the injection molding machine has been installed in our fabrication room at B-PHOT. So some of my design before can really be fabricated, and I want to see more thing about it. Maybe I can easily further optimize this design to make it more cheap, make it cheaper, and then with that low cost, maybe the application domain can also be extended. Yeah, I also seek for different positions in the industry, but during the pandemic, I see that a lot of companies, they just collapsed, they bankrupt, and I thought, okay, but it's more stable. I'd say. Yeah. That's also another reason. It's really realistic.
This wasn't a good time to go to industry. It's normal. It's life choices. Why don't somebody stick with something good and wait for something better? It's just very understandable and humane. But now that your experiences from your PhD are fresh and you still feel those challenges, how is a PhD different from a postdoc? So how are the challenges different? How are the tasks different? What is your experience about that?
The biggest difference is it's you should more depend on yourself, not other people. Because for your PhD, maybe you can get some suggestion from your supervisors, but when you are doing your postdoc, you have all projects. Sometimes you have to write your proposals, and a lot of things you have to do by yourself. So you really need to to further develop yourself and and also it's like, how to say it? But I think the postdoc, the name is postdoc, so it's after doctorate, it's like study and research, and it's like you just expand your knowledge, expand your ability to do a lot of things you can do in the as a doctorate candidates, but also something as a sorry, this part is how to say. So yeah, my feeling is a lot of things is still similar, but you are just expanding your experience, you expanding your knowledge and ability. If your domain is still the same.
How about the tasks? Like, is the same type of tasks, or let's say amount of tasks, or expected of a postdoc as for a PhD?
Actually, at B-PHOT, I think the task for some of the students and some of the postdocs, they are similar. For instance, as a PhD student, sometimes you need to participate in the teaching activities, like teaching the lab session, teaching some of the course, or but for postdoc, you are it's obligatory that you need to do these teaching things sometimes. Yeah, so your task is like you are not doing a specific task on your research, but also you need to be more active in education education activities. That is one of the things that is different from the PhD student. And also, like for a PhD student, as a PhD student, you have your main project, maybe you have some side project, but it's just side project. You don't have to spend a lot of time on this side project. But as a postdoc researcher, maybe you have your main project, but you also need to do a lot of project that is very important. It's not a side project. You really need to spend a lot of time on it. So multitask is very common right now.
What would you say was your key to success in a PhD? What was the most important thing that you did to manage the PhD, to graduate from it, and then, stay for a postdoc?
And I think the suggestion from Hugo is very useful. It's like summary of being a successful researcher, or also for a PhD. It's like you should listen carefully to your visionary mentors, get a lot of suggestions from your supervisors, your colleagues, and also you should work smart and hard. That is also very important, and sometimes you spend a lot of time on something, but in an inefficient way, then you are just wasting time. So you should find a very doing things smart to be efficient, and also be brave. Don't hesitate to try different new things. If you have difficulties or challenges, just try different ways to solve it. And I always believe that the solution is much more than the problems. And also you should be a very good team player. Although as I said, that in Europe or in Western world, it's more emphasis on the individual, but you can always ask help from others and be a good team player. And you can ask suggestions from your ideas from your fellow students, and even sometimes you can learn some things from your the master students, because I have supervised a few master students, and you were one of my master students, and I really during this interaction I learned a lot of things from your guys. Yeah.
Brilliant. And thank you so much for both supervising me and your kind comment. So I'm gonna end the questions with a really precious one. Firstly, let me congratulate you about your daughter being born. So the question is, how has Evie changed your life, and how is doing research and having a toddler at home, a married life and everything together, how does that work for you?
The two things has changed my life. The first is graduation as a PhD, and then the second is just like recently it's the born of my baby Evie. It's really challenging for the first 2 or 3 months after birth of my kid, because we are just new parents. We have no experience before to feed a baby, how to change diapers, a lot of things. Yeah, it's really at the beginning we messed everything up, and also because the baby wake up quite often, and for me I really have limited time to sleep well. I can feel that my marriage is becoming I can easily forget things because of the lack of sleeping. But now things has been after 3 months, it's like she's becoming bigger and smarter, I'd say, and more consciousness, and she can understand what I'm saying. Her life is become regular, then my life is also becoming easier. And also this is really like a mystery of life, because in these 3 months she grew up so fast, and she was 2.9 kilogram. Now she's more than 6 kilogram in 3 months. It's like magic. And I'm always wondering what I was doing when I was that small. And being a parent makes me understand the feeling of my parents. That's very I really appreciate their help in my life, and that I can be because of them I can be a person who can stand here as a postdoc, and also with a beautiful wife and also a lovely kid. So it's really magic. Marvelous. It's something that really hard to be expressed by the words. You can only feel it by yourself.
Yeah. That was a beautiful explanation. I really enjoyed hearing it. Let me congratulate you again, both for your graduation and for your beautiful child. And well, thank you so much for joining me today for this podcast. Your answers will help a lot of people, I'm sure. They're going to see about PhDs, they're going to see about B-PHOT, they're going to see about your career track up to this point. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's also my pleasure to share the experience, and I hope this can be useful.
They will definitely be, and the pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.